as the state comptroller seeks answers about the Marcy project and local officials, what do they think? Assemblyman Anthony Brindisi is on. Your statement to the OD was a little more suspect than what Griffo had said. You're really questioning the motives of the comptroller for coming out with this with these types of open-end questions.
Well, look, it's no secret right now that the governor and the comptroller are in a very public feud in Albany. The comptroller had an audit done over some of the governor's economic development programs, criticizing them. The governor called his audits just his opinion. He shot back with some other statements. So I think this is really a part of that, and it's a little suspect timing-wise, given the fact that this money has been around for about a year now.
Yeah, obviously, with what Preet Bharara has been up to and trying to find inside deals going on with contractors, the Buffalo Billions, the story's prime for people to begin to question.
Well, especially in our area. I mean, look, people are questioning this since the get-go. There's always been the naysayers out there saying we don't believe it. This is not happening. There's those of us who have asked people to try and stay positive. This is happening. This money is real. The project is real. The company is real. This is something that's moving along. Is it moving along as fast as I would like it to move along? No, but these are very high-tech buildings you're building. These are publicly traded companies you're dealing with, and things don't always move at the same pace that people want them to with these large companies and large deals. But things are moving, and it's not helpful having this report by the comptroller questioning some of these things when, look, it just passed through the state legislature. It passed through the Public Authorities Control Board, which the comptroller had input in. So this is really a letter he sent to the Public Authorities Control Board prior to their meeting last week. They met to put their stamp of approval on money being released, which they did, and this letter somehow got leaked to the press, and now we have this article. So, it is. If you just think of the timeline, money was announced back in August a year ago, approved in the budget in April. Now we're this far along in the project, and the comptroller has questions about it. So the timing is a little off.
Tell me if you could. I mean, there's a big difference between a report that says this was done, this impropriety was done by somebody, whether it's the governor or whomever, versus an open-end question, basically saying, where is this money coming from? What is the report and what is the letter? What is the comptroller charging here? Or is he just?
I don't think he's saying anything that was done improper. He's not saying any money was exchanged improperly. I think what he's hinting at is he wants more accounting of the amount being spent versus the number of jobs being proposed.
Right.
So he wants to see some kind of analysis by the governor's office or Empire State Development, which is the economic development wing for the state, as to the jobs that have been promised for the project versus the money being spent. And is it worth it to spend this kind of money on this amount of proposed jobs? So that's where he's looking for more information.
And he is, and he did say he's questioning whether their prediction of the number of jobs is even close. I mean, that's really what he's saying, right?
And it's his, it's certainly within his jurisdiction to question those kinds of things. And as a comptroller, he's responsible for money being spent in the state, so he can ask those questions. And like I'd said in my comments to the newspaper and to the TV stations, was that the state should provide him with what information he's looking for. If they're looking for some information on jobs or anything, send it to him and provide him with the information if he's claiming he doesn't have it.
Are we the victims? Are we in the middle of this urinating prowess activity going on right now?
Look, I start off by saying there is a very big feud going on right now between the governor and the comptroller. It's been very well reported over the last few weeks in Albany media and every places covering the Capitol.
There were reports.
I think this is another casualty of that.
There were reports last summer, I believe, last year, from the New York Post that said that Cuomo really disliked DiNapoli and called him, I don't know, chipmunk nuts, or that was his nickname for him. A little juvenile, but it seems like this feud's been going back for a while.
It has been going on for a while, and there's love-hate relationships with many politicians in Albany, and it seems like they're on the downward spiral right now. And Look, it's very, I guess, in the news to question these big projects right now, whether it's in Buffalo or anything having to do with SUNY Poly. So I think the comptroller's heading into that news cycle.
Do you worry that this could scare a GE or scare an AMS?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah.
Look, they read the newspapers, they read the media reports, and certainly it sends concerns to any company when they see something like this. So I do have concerns, and I believe they're reading it, and it gives them concern, and it makes them maybe question what they're doing. But look, I don't run the comptroller's office. I would certainly advise the comptroller to do things if he does have legitimate questions. Perhaps not make it so public and try and do things, work with the governor or the legislature to get those answers, and hopefully he will be satisfied with that. But you're dealing with companies that are not necessarily American companies and don't understand politics in New York State or the feuds that happen between governors and comptrollers and attorney generals and all the statewide elected officials. So I do worry how this would have an impact on a company like AMS or GE.
Especially because you've had to deal with people in the area that have questioned it, and I think at one point Assemblywoman Claudia Tenney came out and questioned things. Well, that's kind of local politics, but this is the state comptroller questioning it. It really has. It seems more valid than anything we've heard prior.
Look, the thing that you can take away from this was no one's alleging, as they have done in Buffalo or in Albany, that there were improper awarding of contracts or people got kickbacks or things like that. All that's happening here is the comptroller is questioning the amount of money being spent on a project versus the number of jobs being created. He wants to see some more information on that, and that's fair for him to question.
Sure.
So send him the information that he's looking for. Hopefully it will satisfy him. Happy to have him come here and take a look at the projects and talk to some of the local officials who have been working on this for years now. So those are the kind of things that he should be doing. Wish it wasn't such a public debate over this, and I wish it wasn't tied up in this whole feud that's going on between the two of them right now. But so far Utica has not been involved in any of the stuff that's being alleged out in Buffalo and other parts of the state. Probably because our project came along a lot later, and things were done very open and transparent, and that's the way things should be done.
What is AMS saying? What are they predicting in terms of jobs?
I think their predictions are right on line with what the state's numbers come from them. So that's what they predict in terms of the amount of clean room space being built for the project, the number of jobs attached to that. Look, it's a multi-year project. No one's saying that there's going to be 800 jobs year one. It's a phased project over a course of several years, and there's an initial construction of the building. There's potential to add on to that later on down the road, which would create more jobs. So, $500 million being spent in this area is unprecedented on any project, and it's going to cause questions, I guess, among statewide elected officials who aren't used to seeing that kind of money spent in Utica, New York. So let's have the debate about it and discuss it, and whatever he's looking for, provide the information.
And you're being in the Democratic Assembly, a lot of members downstate. What's the general feel? I mean, you're here. Are you considered like the golden child? The money's coming in here. Do they look at the money that's being spent here in this area, and do they look at it with envy? Do they have a problem with does a New York City legislator say, why is all this money going upstate?
Look, it's a running joke in the Assembly to call it the Brindisi billion because of between the hospital money and the money coming in for Nano. That's a joke, and it's done jokingly. But you got to believe that there's some feelings among other legislators that why is all this money being spent in Utica? It's not just downstate; it's all over the state.
Yeah.
Whether it was a hospital in other areas of the state who said, "Why are we spending that money in Utica? Well, we want a hospital in Rochester or Syracuse or Long Island or New York City or wherever." So there is always I don't want to say envy, but look, we're all. There's only so much money to go around. We're all fighting for that money for our areas. We've been very successful in the last couple of years working together as a team, attracting money to our area, and we want to keep that going. It's hard enough, fighting against other legislators from other parts of the state who want to keep money in their districts. And you come home, you got to fight against people home you just don't ever want to get on the bandwagon and be positive about any project that's coming to our area. They're always quick to criticize. They're not so quick to actually get on board and support it when it's real. So, you try and work the best you can through the system, keeping in mind the end goal is that you're there to do what you think is best for the people that you're representing. And that's what I always try and do. And I think the people have sent me there to try and bring more state attention to the Utica area and the Rome area because it's been lacking for the last 30 years or 40 years.
Yeah.
Not to beat a dead horse here, but let me ask about, I know this takes time. It was just over a year ago that Governor Cuomo was on the SUNY Poly campus announcing the AMS jobs, the General Electric jobs, which was $1,500 for GE and $1,000 for AMS. It was August 20th, 2015. Did you expect there would be jobs by this point? Does it concern you? It's been a year, and we're still kind of playing the waiting game.
Well, I'm not surprised. I think I'd hope that some of the GE jobs would start rolling in right now. But look, that's dependent on some things that are happening with the GE plant that's going up or being built out in Albany. So that's been slowed down a little bit, and it's going to have an impact on what's happening here. AMS, I'm really not as surprised. It's been a year. They're consistently talking between AMS and SUNY Poly. I had a meeting last week in the governor's office about AMS. So there's talks that are taking place on the scope of the building, the design of the building, the tools that are going in the building. It's a complicated process. It's not a one single family home they're building. It's a multi-billion-dollar facility, a high-tech facility that's going to have the latest technologies in it for computer chip manufacturing. It takes time to do these kinds of things. You're not just throwing up a modular home or something like that. It takes a lot. I'm not surprised it's been taking so long.
All right, very interesting. Obviously, this is not. It's more of a pain than anything else because it has people asking like us asking questions, and it has people are. I have no problem with people asking questions and wanting answers. That's fine, whether it's with the hospital project or this project or any project that's happening there. It's very good to ask questions, but the negative attitudes sometimes aren't helpful, whether it's locally or on the statewide level. Sometimes we're all trying to do what's right for this area. No one's getting money in their pocket or profiting off the government or taxpayers' dollars. So let's ask questions, but let's also keep the focus on we're all trying to do what's right for this area, and we all want what's best for this area, and that's more jobs for the people that live here and better paying jobs for the people that live here. I've said this before. It will be very interesting to take a look at. Only history tells us what's really going to happen. And when you go 3, 4 years, 5 years down the road, it will be really interesting to be looking back at what actually was accomplished. And we're all hopeful, right?
We're all hopeful.
All right, Anthony Brindisi, right. I appreciate last minute taking the time. Thanks so much.
Anytime, thank you.
All right, 7:35. Quick break. I do have some birthdays here for Tuesday, August 23rd. You know what I'm saying? When you look back, and in 5 years from now, I can't wait to get there to be able to look back and say, hey, it really did happen. You hope that's what we're saying. The arterial project's done, the hospital's done.
Yeah.
The base has grown to the point where, who knows, commercial air and in addition, this nano thing went where it would be really, really. Mario, what are you calling me for on my cell phone while I'm on the air, for God's sakes?
Call in, Mario.
Call in on the air. I can't take you on my cell phone. It'll be interesting to look back and hopefully see all of this stuff has been accomplished. That's what we hope.